Burning Crusade will bring a lot of new changes compared to how it is on the classic Anniversary realms. We can finally play as two new races, Draenei as Alliance and Blood Elf for Horde. As a Blood Elf, you can choose to create a Paladin. This is a new thing compared to Classic, where Paladin were only meant for Alliance. But as a Draenei, you can also play as a Shaman, so both factions will now have access to every single class in the game. As of right now, it's still not confirmed if we will be able to boost a character or if we need to level these from level 1, but it will probably be from level 1 as this is how it were in Burning Crusade 2021. Talking about leveling, the cap has also been increased to 70 and we will be leveling in the new continent Outland. There's going to be quite a few zones and this is how we get from level 58 to 70 as we will be able to enter Outland at level 58. By the time you reach max level, a lot of new things will unlock. For example, the possibility to learn Flying Mount. We're talking about 60% flying and 280% flying. The price for normal flying is 800 and 100 for the mount. If you wish to go straight for epic flying, then you still need the normal flying skill, so it will be a total of 6000 gold if you're training normal epic flying skill and getting the epic mount. Moving on to PvE and how things will change when it comes to gearing. First off, we're getting 10-man raids, so Karazhan and later on Suleiman. Most 10-man bosses are dropping 2 epic items, but there's also some, for example the last one Prince, who are dropping a total of 3. One of these being a tier token, and it's not always for your class, but if you're collecting one of these, you can also exchange it into a tier item for your specialization. In this case, I can for example choose either the elemental chest, the resto chest, or for enhancement. And this is an amazing change. Instead of always depending on the right item to drop, now you just need a tier token and then you can exchange it into whatever you prefer to play. Unless you're playing a class which is only capable of DPSing, in that case there's only going to be one set. However, we still don't know if they're going to introduce new changes this time around. If so, I'll definitely be covering them in a future part 2. Alright, moving on to dungeons. These can now be done on a heroic mode. It requires you to be level 70 and also obtain a key. Or well, not just one key, but each of these requires you to reach the word with different factions in Burning Crusade. A quick example could be from the faction in Sangamarsh, Cenarion Expedition. The moment you have obtained this key, you can also do Slave Pens, Underbug and Steamworld on heroic mode. In heroics, you're also obtaining better loot and a new currency, Badge of Justice. These are handed in or will exchanged into loot in Shedwood City at this vendor. You can exchange it into many different epic items, so not just for one specialization. And let's imagine you're being unlucky with drops. Well, at least you're getting this currency and at some point also a guaranteed epic item. What's also important to highlight is that each of these heroics will also have a 1-day logout, so you could be doing all of them but only once every single day. The final boss in heroics will always drop an epic item and a primal nether, which is needed for professions. Earlier in the video I mentioned that the rare loot in heroics changes when you do this difficulty, but it's not always the same case. If you're doing a high level TBC normal dungeon on heroic mode, then the rare loot in here won't be changing. Moving on to the talent tree, there's going to be quite a few new talents and also changes to some of them. At the bottom there will for example be a new spell, and this makes many classes finally playable in this expansion compared to 20 years anniversary. For example, Feral Druids and Balanced Druids being decent DPS, and also Resto Druids becoming a lot better. Not to mention Paladin no longer just being a good healer. No, you can also play as protection, as you will be a way better tank, especially in 5-man dungeons, and now also capable of taunting. As retribution, we are getting yet another DPS ability, Crusader Strike, and also hopefully continuing to be able to seal twist, as this makes Retribution Paladin an insane damage dealer in Burning Crusade. Hopefully they don't do any changes to this. Moving on to the next topic, PvP changes. In Burning Crusade there's going to be introduced a new battleground, and this you can start doing the moment you reach level 61. The name of this, Eye of the Storm. In Eye of the Storm there's going to be 4 different bases you can be in control of. The more bases you're in control of, the more points you will also slowly be getting. In the middle you can pick up a flag, and you gotta take this to one of the bases you're in control of. If you're not controlling anything, you won't be able to hand this in and score some additional points. If your team is in control of all 4 bases and you're capturing one of these flags, you'll receive a lot of points and win the fight in next to no time. One thing a lot of you are probably also looking forward to is going to be arenas, where you can do 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3, or 5 versus 5s. When you're doing these, you will every single week also receive a new currency, which is called arena points. These you spend in Outland, and you can exchange these points into insane epic PvP items. In the beginning, it's going to be gladiator items. What about professions? Is there anything to be looking forward to? At level 50, we can train the master rank, allowing us to level up our profession to 375. But there will be a massive change to enchanting. On the anniversary realm, you could just make a level 5 character, learn enchanting, and disenchant whatever you're sent to this. But in the Burning Crusade, you will now need to level up your enchanting, because the higher item level, the higher your enchanting will also need to be in order to disenchant that specific item. Another big change is that the cooldown on your Arcanite bar and Mooncloth will be removed, and the price for both of these will definitely decrease. We are also getting a new profession, Jewelcrafting. You level up this by providing ores, bars, gems, and different stones. These we can turn into green, rare, or epic gems, trinkets, rings, and also necks. When you level this profession to 360 or higher, you will also be able to get yourself insane epic gems, and these are only usable if you level up Jewelcrafting yourself. There will of course also be gems you can purchase at a vendor, but the quality here are awful. In phase 1, you can also craft rare gems, and these you can sell to other people to make a lot of gold. So it's not like you need this profession to get yourself decent gems. Next you need to acquire yourself an item with a gem slot. In this case, it's going to be a red gem slot, so if I'm placing a red gem, I will also receive a socket bonus. However, it's not like I only can place a red socket in here. If I'm for example placing a blue gem to increase my stamina, I just won't receive the socket bonus. I'm definitely also looking forward to the Geld Bank. Now we no longer need a character, instead we can just deposit and withdraw items in here, and it's gonna make a huge difference. I know these are just some of the changes in Burning Crusade. In the future I'll post a part 2, which will be way longer and also including all the big changes in this expansion. If you don't want to miss that video or many other useful Burning Crusade guides, then make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Peace.